Finally, Deuce Knight flips to the Auburn Tigers.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. We're dapping it up with Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend. Darrell, finally happens. Deuce Knight flips. The quarterback commit from Notre Dame is finally committed to the Auburn Tigers.
It's really big, and I'm going to tell you, it's bigger than just getting this great player, this highly ranked quarterback. That's important in itself. That standing alone is huge for Auburn. But look, the ramifications of this, and when he did it during a 2-3 run for Auburn football, is what makes it even bigger, because the big picture says this class may stay together. And oh, by the way, I believe in the future so much in what Auburn's building here. I'm going to jump on. And I know we'll talk about why it's so much needed for Auburn, but I'm going to make the case later that the timing, although frustrating because Auburn wanted it to happen 3 weeks ago, couldn't have been any better. It happened for a reason. Things happen for a reason. And it's better now than when we were all stoked a month ago. And I'll go into more of that later.
Yeah, no, Auburn needed to win on or off the field for sure. So, yeah, Deuce Knight has been committed to Notre Dame since September of 23. So, over a year. He's been on Auburn's campus, it seems like, every week this season. And it's not like a short trek from Mississippi either. Like it's not like he's driving over from Central or down from Montgomery. Like it's a little bit of a haul. So it's clear that the guy wanted to be here. It seemed like he was friends with all of the other Auburn commits. And it's just like, well, why is this taking so long? And there were rumblings of like, okay, what's the family's involvement? Do they want him to go to Notre Dame? Do they want him to go to Ole Miss? Ole Miss kind of put a strong push late. Should Auburn be concerned about Ole Miss? There was so many different things just kind of floating around with this recruitment. And I think it just drug on. And then naturally everybody got a little paranoid about the whole thing. But this Auburn staff, they pulled it out, Darrell, and Auburn finally has their quarterback of this class, which makes Auburn finishing in the top 5 in this class even more likely.
Well, now it's a good time to go back and reflect, now that it's done, as to what could have caused the delay. Number one, I've heard it with multiple sources that I trust that he really wanted to do it when Auburn was on a high. Yeah. You know, coming off a win. I even heard that he wanted to do it at Toomer's Corner, rolling to. There's a lot of different things. Well, Auburn, unfortunately, did not give that young man the opportunity. Second of all, you mentioned how long he's been committed to Notre Dame. There is the narrative, and there is this factual thing that he kind of felt like he rushed into that recruitment. Now, if he rushed into it, to stay committed for that long is kind of amazing, but he felt like he kind of rushed it. So he wanted to take his time and make absolutely sure with this one. Plus, he thinks very highly of Marcus Freeman. And I think even though in his heart he always wanted to go to Auburn, it was still a tough ask, or tough for him to finally tell Freeman. But once he made his commitment visit, or made his visits on campus, the more he came, especially the official commitment, you kind of get the feeling that Notre Dame knew. And I get the Ole Miss smoke, but I truly believe from stuff that we know about how his visits went with Ole Miss became a player, if they became a player, if Notre Dame bowed out. And we don't know any of that. So if Ole Miss was truly in the mix and truly a threat, I think it only happened because Notre Dame backed off because he kept taking visits to Auburn.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe so. Maybe so. To me, this offers we've talked about this before. Like, okay, there are a few guys now that Auburn could be more likely to sway to jump into this class now that they have a quarterback. Caleb Cunningham has certainly been a name. I don't know if I buy that. Some people buy that more than others. Andrew Babalola is another one, the 5-star offensive tackle. When we had those conversations, Auburn wasn't 2-3. And so like that does play a factor in this. But if the sales pitch is on the future, Who knows? Who knows? The other thing, Darrell, that I think is so important with this, and you'll talk about the timing in a moment, but to me, like I think this kind of stops some of the bleeding of fan bases saying, "Oh my goodness, the recruiting class is going to fall apart." Oh my goodness, well, if all these young guys stay here, and it's like, well, there's still a group of guys, talented players that believe in the future of Auburn, or Deuce Knight wouldn't have done this.
Great point. The residual effect of this is, now I'm gonna be a little petty, but I think you and some of your listeners like petty, Darrell. Number one, if Ole Miss truly thought they were in the mix and Auburn gets them, sweet, love it. Number two, there are fan bases across the conference and especially across the other side of the state that were starting to really, really take glee and pile on and make predictions and say, look what's happening on the field. This recruiting class is going to fall apart. And they were loving it. Well, pump the brakes, because here's the deal. All the piling on that's going on right now, if this recruiting class stays together, and it looks like by all indications it will, with a guy like Deuce Knight jumping on board, the naysayers, like they like to say on the other side of the state, we're wrong. We're wrong. It's not falling apart. In fact, oh, by the way, it just got stronger and moved up the rankings. So laugh all you want, chuckle it up, pile on Auburn, but do it now. Do it now. You better do it now, because with the way I understand Auburn's 2-3, but there's light at the end of the tunnel with the way these freshmen are playing.
Yes.
You combine the way these freshmen and sophomores are playing with this recruiting class that's coming in, and I feel like there's light at the end of the tunnel, better days are ahead, and you better get your shots in now. So yuck it up. That's fine. But it didn't fall apart. In fact, it got better. It got better today. So I love that aspect of it too. Receipts were kept, and we'll see what happens going forward.
We will see what happens going forward. No question about it. Darrell, this timing, like you said, was perfect. And Auburn needed this so bad. Let's jump into that in just a moment, right here on Locked On Auburn. Darrell, can you imagine buying tickets anywhere than our friends at Game Time?
I can't, and I don't.
That's right.
So there you go.
Right. I'm there with you.
Not as simple as that.
Yeah, I'm spending Auburn's bye week by going to my annual trek up to Foxborough to see the Patriots play the Houston Texans. I bought my tickets at Game Time. They were I bought them confidently, knowing that it was the best deal. It was the best deal on those tickets. I did one of the lightning bolt deals like you love to do, that you have endorsed several times. You should do the same. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel's America's #1 sportsbook, and right now you can get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. And also, live betting at FanDuel is so easy. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bets. So that's all over at FanDuel.com. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn, excuse me, your first listen every single day. The everydayers know that we've been talking about Deuce Knight forever. And for full disclosure, this is like the 5th time we've pre-recorded this show.
This one feels different, right?
It does. It does for sure. All right. So Deuce Knight, 4-star across the board, #2 quarterback according to Rivals, #2 quarterback according to ESPN, #5 on 247, and #6 on On3. Somehow in the industry rankings, he is the 7th quarterback, which is weird to me. It's like 2, 2, 5, and 6. So that averages to 7 somehow. What?
It's that new math. It's that new math our kids are learning.
I guess so. But you look at the timing of this, and man, it comes at a time where Auburn really, really needed to win.
It's why I think sometimes people need to be patient and understand things work out for the best, and they happen for a reason. And I think that mantra and that way to look at life, I know it's hard. I was feeling it Saturday night. A lot of Auburn fans were getting impatient. They were buying into what other fan bases were selling, saying he'll never come here with Auburn's the product they're putting on the field. The longer it goes, the worse it is. But at the end of the day, it couldn't have worked out more perfectly for Auburn, because if he commits before the season starts, or if he commits after New Mexico, it has nowhere near the impact and turnaround of good feelings, which this fan base and this Auburn family needed more than anything else after last Saturday. Yeah. This is medicine. It's absolutely exactly what the doctor ordered to feel good about this program again. So based upon that, the timing couldn't have been any better for when he chose to do this.
No question. No question. And like, if I would have had it my way, I would have had him do it the Cal weekend. And it may have happened if Auburn would have won. I mean, we don't know. Like, we don't know if Auburn beats Cal or Auburn beats Arkansas or Auburn beats Oklahoma. Granted, if they beat Oklahoma, like, I think the fan base feels a lot better about the trajectory of the season. But I don't know. Like, I just have a gut feeling, and it's impossible to know this yet, but I think this is going to reignite the fan base.
Yes.
Darrell, I think the level of interest is going to take a tick up now because you flipped the quarterback that was committed to Notre Dame. I mean, that's a big deal.
It's definitely salve for the wounds that have been experienced, that Auburn's been licking their wounds the last few days. And so, again, I cannot overemphasize how big this is to get some of that goodwill and optimism and good feelings surrounding the program again. It happened at the best time. I mean, this Saturday was harder than the Cal loss and harder than the Arkansas loss. It just was, because Auburn didn't turn it over 5 times. And going into the fourth quarter, it looked like not only was Auburn going to win, they're going to win going away. So you're at your lowest point, it seems like, after Saturday and Sunday. The press conference, in my opinion, did a little bit to provide a little bit of hope and a little bit of a little bit of light coming in through the cracked door.
Which presser? The Monday presser?
Yes. Okay. The way he answered the questions and the way he talked about the freshmen, it seemed to me like Auburn was closer than people thought they were leaving that Jordan-Hare Saturday night. Well, Deuce Knight just kicked that door open with the light shining in. It's perfect timing. And again, it gets the fan base, like you said, reignited and excited about something. And it's perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Yeah, I'm there with you. So this puts Auburn in with 25 commitments in the 2025 class. This may move them up to 4th on 3. It should keep them at 4 on 247. They were 4 beforehand as well, but they're like right behind Georgia on 3. So it may put them over on that, which is cool. And also, funny enough, it may knock Notre Dame out of the top 10, which is fun too. So, I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, you're getting a consensus top 6 quarterback in the class. What else can you ask for?
I'll tell you this too. You alluded to something early in the show that is very, very important. Okay. This recruiting class and these kids that have committed to Auburn love Deuce Knight. They're very close to him. They really want him in this class. They really like him. They've really bonded with him. And that matters in keeping this class together going forward and drawing more people in. They considered him. They openly petitioned and lobbied for him to come on board. That speaks volumes to what they feel about him and how they feel about him. And I've also heard those attributes are what he has on the field. He's a natural born leader. He's bonded with these kids. These other recruits. He hasn't been aloof or greater than. That matters. And that's a very important key element to all this and keeping this class together.
No question. No question. So Deuce Knight, welcome. Pumped that he is the newest member of Auburn's recruiting class. Darrell, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Follow me on X, Dap6410, Instagram, Darrell Dap. Occasionally these little fun shows that we get to do together, but Wednesdays, Fridays, and the reaction shows Sunday morning after the Auburn football games.
Yeah, please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.